They say you truly know someone when you're trapped with them. That night, locked in a hotel room while chaos erupted outside, I learned that Mafia Boss Sebastian wasn't just dangerous because of what he could do. He was dangerous because of how safe he made me feel when the world was falling apart. The question wasn't whether I could trust him. It was whether I could survive wanting to. The Garrison Hotel was the kind of place where money whispered instead of shouted. Lauren shouldn't have been there. The legal conference had changed venues last minute. Instead of a sterile convention center, she found herself in the Garrison's ballroom surrounded by lawyers in $5,000 suits. She'd arrived early, been directed to a prep room on the 14th floor to review her presentation. The room was elegant cream walls, mahogany desk, floor-to-ceiling windows. Lauren was deep in her notes when she heard it. A sound like thunder but wrong. Too sharp. Then shouting. Male voices, urgent, echoing through the hallway. Lauren moved to the door. The voices were closer now. Secure the floor. No one leaves. Check every room. Her hand moved to the door handle. Locked. From the outside. Lauren's pulse spiked. She tried again, twisting hard. Nothing. The electronic lock glowed red. She pulled out her phone. No signal. The shouting intensified. Running footsteps. Doors being forced open. Lauren backed away from the door. The windows didn't open. The desk was too heavy to move. There was nowhere to hide, no way out. She was trapped. The door handle rattled. Someone trying to get in. Room's locked, a male voice said. Could be empty. Check it anyway. Boss said every room. The electronic lock beeped. The light turned green. Two men in dark suits entered, eyes sweeping the room with military precision. You, the taller one said. Name. Lauren Mitchell. I'm here for the legal conference. What's going on? Conference is canceled. Hotel's on lockdown. You need to stay in this room until we clear the situation. Lockdown? Why? That's not your concern. The second man checked the bathroom. Room secure. She's alone. They started to leave. Lauren moved toward the door. Wait, you can't just lock me in here. I have rights. The taller man turned back. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you once to step back and remain calm. I am calm. I'm also not staying locked in a hotel room because of some unnamed situation. Either tell me what's happening or let me leave. That's not an option. Then I'm calling the police. No signal in the building. We've locked it down. He said it matter-of-factly. You'll stay here until the situation is resolved. And if I refuse? The man's expression finally shifted. Then I'll have to ensure your compliance by other means. Trust me. You don't want that. Lauren opened her mouth to argue when another voice cut through the tension. Vincent, stand down. The voice came from the hallway. Deep. Familiar in a way that made Lauren's chest tighten. Both men immediately stepped aside. And Mafia Boss Sebastian walked into the room. He looked different, more formal in a charcoal suit. But his eyes were exactly as she remembered. Calculating. Missing nothing. Miss Mitchell. He said her name like they were old acquaintances. I wasn't aware you'd be here tonight. Lauren's mind spun. Sebastian. Here. The pieces connected with sickening clarity. What's going on? She asked quietly. A situation that required immediate containment. Unfortunately, guests need to remain in secure locations until it's resolved. Sebastian's tone was perfectly pleasant. Vincent, clear the hallway. I'll handle this personally. The men left without question. Sebastian closed the door. The lock engaged. Now it was just the two of them. In a locked room. 14 floors up. You're controlling this, Lauren said. I'm managing a complication. There's a difference. What kind of complication requires locking down an entire hotel? Sebastian moved to the windows. The kind involving business disputes that could endanger civilians if not properly contained. My people are ensuring parties resolve their issues without collateral damage. Business disputes. You mean criminal activity. I mean adults having disagreements about contractual obligations. He turned to face her. The specifics aren't relevant. What's relevant is that you're safe in this room while my people establish control. I was safe before your people locked me in here. You were vulnerable. There's a difference. Lauren crossed her arms. How long? An hour. Maybe 2. I'm being held prisoner. You're being protected. Again, there's a difference. Stop saying that. Sebastian was quiet for a moment. Lauren, there are men in this hotel who wouldn't hesitate to use a civilian as leverage. The only reason you're safe is because you're in a room my people control. So, yes, you're trapped. But you're trapped safely. Would you prefer the alternative? The bluntness reminded Lauren exactly who she was dealing with. No, she said quietly. Then sit, be patient. And in an hour or 2, you'll walk out like none of this happened. Before we see what happens next in that locked room, I want to ask you something. Have you ever been stuck somewhere with someone you weren't sure about? That feeling of being trapped with uncertainty? Drop a comment below and tell me about it. And if you're hooked on Lauren and Mafia Boss Sebastian's story, subscribe to the channel. We post new dark romance stories every week. And trust me, the tension between these two is just getting started. The silence stretched between them. Lauren moved to the desk, sat with deliberate composure. So we just wait. We wait. Sebastian remained by the windows, hands in pockets. And if I tried to leave anyway? Vincent would stop you. Politely at first. Sebastian's tone didn't change. But you won't try. You're intelligent enough to recognize when fighting accomplishes nothing. He was right. That was the infuriating part. How did you know I was here? I didn't. Your presence is coincidental. Sebastian glanced at her. Though not unwelcome. Because now you have to babysit me. Because now I know you're secure. Another silence. Lauren could hear muffled sounds from the hallway, voices, footsteps, the distant ding of elevators. What kind of business dispute requires this level of control? The kind involving people who've forgotten the difference between negotiation and extortion. Sebastian moved to the chair across from her. A transaction was agreed upon. One party decided to renegotiate using threats. That required correction. Correction. You mean violence. I mean containment. The parties are in separate rooms having clear conversations about honoring agreements. No one is being hurt. They needed to understand that renegotiating through intimidation has consequences. The way he said it, calm, matter of fact, should have been chilling. Instead, Lauren found it almost hypnotic. You're very good at making illegal things sound reasonable. I'm very good at recognizing that the world operates on power, not morality. Sebastian leaned back. But we don't need to debate philosophy, we just need to wait. In silence? Unless you prefer conversation. Lauren considered. Hostile silence would make time drag. Tell me something. Why you do this? You could make money legitimately. Why choose this? Sebastian was quiet. Because legitimate business requires playing by rules set by people who inherited power? I prefer making my own rules. That's not a real answer. It's the only answer I have. He met her eyes. I grew up watching men who followed every rule still get crushed by systems designed to keep them powerless. I decided I'd rather operate outside those systems. There was something raw in his voice. Like he'd revealed more than intended. That almost sounds like justification. I'm explaining. Justification would imply guilt. I don't feel guilty. Sebastian's composure returned. I provide services people want. I protect my people. I maintain order in spaces where the legal system has no reach. I question systems all the time. Then you understand that rules are just power structures disguised as morality. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, surprised. I thought there was no signal. I had it restored to this room. Sebastian's tone was casual. You're not a prisoner. You're secure. That means you can contact whoever you need. Lauren looked at the message from her assistant. Conference canceled. Hotel incident? Are you okay? She typed back. I'm fine. Stuck in prep room but safe. Lauren set the phone down. You restored my signal. I told you. You're not a prisoner. But I can't leave. Because leaving would be genuinely dangerous. The signal lets you communicate. The locked door keeps you safe. Both things can be true. It was such a Sebastian response. Lauren almost smiled. You're infuriating. I'm consistent. People confuse the two. This time Lauren did smile. And Sebastian, seeing it, smiled back, transforming his face from coldly handsome to something more human. 20 minutes passed. 30. The sounds from the hallway changed, less urgency, more routine. It's almost over, Sebastian said. How do you know? Because my people know what they're doing. Agreements have been reconfirmed. Everyone will leave understanding that threatening renegotiation was a mistake they won't repeat. And if they do, the consequences will be more severe. But they won't. They're not stupid. Lauren studied him. You really believe you're providing a service? I know I am. Without people like me, disputes like tonight's would be resolved with actual violence. Civilians would be hurt. I provide structure where it doesn't exist. Value for you. Value for everyone. The parties resolve issues safely. The hotel continues operating. Civilians remain unharmed. Everyone wins. Except people who don't want to play by your rules. Everyone plays by someone's rules, Lauren. Mine are just more honest about being rules. Sebastian's phone buzzed. He checked it, nodded. It's done. In 5 minutes, this room unlocks and you're free to go. Relief washed through Lauren. Thank God. Thank efficient management. God had nothing to do with it. Sebastian stood. You'll walk out of here. The conference will be rescheduled. You'll receive an email tomorrow with details. You're controlling that too? I'm ensuring the inconvenience is properly managed. There's that word again. Sebastian's smile was genuine. I like precise language. The door lock beeped. Green light. Sebastian opened it, checked the hallway. Clear, you can leave. Lauren gathered her materials. She should walk out immediately. Instead, she paused. Thank you for keeping me safe. Even if your methods are questionable, you're welcome. Even if your gratitude is grudging. They stood close in the doorway. Close enough for Lauren to smell his cologne. Close enough to see the scar along his jawline. Lauren, Sebastian said quietly, if you're ever in a situation where you feel unsafe anywhere, anytime you call me. I don't have your number. He sent a text. Her phone buzzed. Contact. Sebastian. Emergency only. Now you do. Lauren nodded. Started to leave. Stopped. Why do you keep helping me? Because you're someone worth helping. And because I respect people who don't break easily. You've been through situations that would destroy most people. You're still standing. That matters. Be safe, Lauren. You too. She walked away, took the elevator down. Outside, the city continued its rhythm. Her phone buzzed. Text from Sebastian, home safely. She typed back, not home yet, let me know when you are. When her cab arrived at her building, she texted, home. Safe. Response. Good. Sleep well, Lauren. She stood on the sidewalk thinking about locked doors and protected spaces and the strange feeling of being trapped in a way that felt safer than freedom. Lauren didn't sleep well. She replayed the evening. The locked door, Sebastian's control, the way she'd laughed with him while essentially being held captive. At 3 a.m., she gave up. Made tea, sat by her window. Her phone lit up. Unknown number. You're awake. She knew who it was. Can't sleep. Neither can I. Aftermath tends to be loud in quiet hours. Lauren stared at the message. It was the most human thing she'd heard Sebastian say. Does it get easier? No, you just get better at managing it. Not comforting. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be honest. Lauren smiled despite the hour. You're very committed to honesty for someone who operates outside the law. The law and honesty aren't the same thing. The law is just power structures. Honesty is choice. Why are you texting me at 3 a.m.? Because you're awake. And because I wanted to make sure you're actually okay. You already checked that I got home. I checked that you arrived. I'm checking that you're processing what happened. It should have felt invasive. Instead, it felt like someone actually seeing her. I'm processing. Not sure what conclusions I'm reaching. That's all you can do. Let me know if you need to talk. At 3 a.m., anytime. Lauren set down her phone. Sipped her tea. Acknowledged the strange comfort from a man who'd technically held her prisoner. Get some rest, Lauren. Tomorrow will be demanding. You too. I don't rest much. Comes with the territory. Maybe you should try. Maybe. Good night, Lauren. Good night, Sebastian. She went back to bed. And somehow, knowing Sebastian was also awake, also processing, it helped. The next morning brought an email. Conference rescheduled for Tuesday at the original venue. Smooth corporate language that made last night feel almost imaginary. Except for the contact in her phone. Sebastian. Emergency only. At work, her colleague Jennifer stopped by. Did you hear about the garrison? Apparently some kind of incident. Lauren kept her expression neutral. I was there. They locked down our floor for a while. Scary. Were you okay? I was fine. Just inconvenient. After Jennifer left, Lauren researched. Minimal coverage. Brief mention of police presence. Vague statement about investigating suspicious activity. Whatever happened had been contained so thoroughly it barely registered. Her phone buzzed. Sebastian. Saw that you're researching last night. You won't find much. Better that way. Are you watching me? I'm monitoring the situation. There's a difference. She laughed. You and your differences. Precision matters. Or you just like being right. That too. How are you feeling? Functional. Still processing. Good. Let me know if you need to talk. With you? The person who created the situation? Who better to provide context? Lauren shook her head, smiling. I should get back to work. Be well, Lauren. That evening, Lauren attended a work dinner. Corporate setting, predictable conversation. It felt hollow. She excused herself early. Claimed exhaustion. At home, she poured wine and really thought about Sebastian. Not about his criminality, but about the person underneath. Someone who texted at 3 a.m., who restored phone signals while maintaining locked doors. Who spoke about power with conviction built on principles most would reject. Her phone rang. Sebastian. Actually calling. Hello? Are you busy? His voice was different over the phone. More immediate. No, just thinking dangerous thoughts. What kind? The kind where I wonder why I'm not more disturbed by what happened. Sebastian was quiet. Can I take you somewhere? I'd like to show you something. It's almost 9 p.m. I know. Can I take you somewhere? She should say no. Where? My place. Not the office. Somewhere more honest. Honest? Interesting word choice. It's the right choice. I'll send a car. 30 minutes. He hung up before she could respond. Lauren sat with her wine, understanding this was a decision point. She could ignore the car. Could text Sebastian and decline. Or she could admit something had shifted in that hotel room. That the dynamic between them had evolved. 30 minutes later, Elena appeared. Lauren got in without hesitation. They drove to the countryside. To the manor house where Sebastian had once shown her he existed beyond darkness. He was waiting in jeans and a sweater. Less Mafia Boss, more man. Thank you for coming. I'm not sure why I did. Because you want answers to questions. You're not ready to ask. He gestured inside. Come, we should talk. Lauren followed him into the house. Comfortable, lived in, warm. The opposite of his urban office. Why am I here, Sebastian? He poured wine, handed her a glass. Because last night changed something between us and we both know it. And ignoring that would be dishonest. What changed? You saw me manage a crisis. You saw how I operate. And instead of being horrified, you were intrigued, maybe impressed. Lauren wanted to deny it. But he was right. That scares me. It should. It means you're recognizing something you've spent years avoiding. What's that? That safety and danger aren't opposites. That sometimes the most dangerous person is also the safest place to stand. Sebastian moved to the fireplace. Last night, you were trapped. But you were also completely secure. Those facts coexisted. And part of you understood that security mattered more than freedom. That's dangerous thinking. It's realistic thinking. He turned to face her. Lauren, I'm not going to pretend I'm good. But I'm going to be honest. What I feel around you is more than strategic interest. The emission hung between them. What do you feel? Protective, curious, drawn to someone who survived things that would break most people. Sebastian's voice was steady. Is that love? I don't know, but it's something. And it matters. Sebastian, you don't have to respond. I just wanted you to understand why I keep showing up. Why I restored your signal while keeping you locked in. Why I text at 3 a.m. It's not just strategy. It's because you matter. He was offering honesty without expectation. Vulnerability without manipulation. I don't know what to do with that. You don't have to do anything. Just know it exists. They stood in the firelit room, and Lauren realized this terrified her more than any locked door. They sat by the fire, and the silence felt heavier now. Tell me about this place, Lauren said. Why you come here? My grandfather built it. Before my family made choices that led to less legitimate business. Sebastian looked around. This was supposed to be a summer house for a respectable family. What happened? The depression. Bad investments. Pride. Sebastian's voice was matter-of-fact. My grandfather lost everything legal, started taking money from people who didn't ask questions. My father inherited both the house and the business model. And you inherited both. I refined what I inherited. Made it more efficient. Less violent. He met her eyes. My father ruled through fear. I rule through certainty. That's still fear. Maybe, but it creates stability. This house reminds me why that matters. Do you have dreams? Or just structures? I used to. When I was young, he smiled without humor. But I learned some names are too marked. So I built what I could with what I had. That sounds lonely. It is. Most days, less so recently. The implication was clear. Lauren's pulse quickened. Sebastian, I can't be what you need. I don't operate in your world. I'm not asking you to understand. I'm asking you to exist. That's enough. How can my existence be enough? Because you remind me there are people who haven't been consumed by systems they navigate. Who still question. Still resist. Sebastian set down his wine. That's rare. You're romanticizing me. I'm recognizing what you are. Most people give up being themselves to survive. You haven't. Lauren wanted to argue. But sitting here, looking at this man who'd built an empire on control and was now admitting to need, she couldn't find words. What do you want from me? Nothing you're not willing to give. I won't coerce or manipulate. Sebastian's voice was firm. But I'd like you to consider spending time with me. Not as protection. Just as two people who find something compelling in each other. You're asking me to date you. I suppose I am. You're a criminal. I'm aware. This is insane. Probably. But most worthwhile things are. Lauren stood, moved to the windows. Outside countryside stretched dark and peaceful. If I said yes, and I'm not saying yes, what would that look like? Dinners. Conversations. Walks. The same things anyone does. Sebastian joined her. I'm not asking you to enter my world. I'm asking if we can find a space between our worlds. A space between where you're not worried about my business and I'm not worried about your judgment. Where we just are. It sounded impossible. It sounded exactly like what Lauren hadn't realized she'd been looking for. I need time to think. Take all you need. I'm not going anywhere. Elena drove Lauren home. The city rose around them, and Lauren felt reality reasserting itself. Her phone buzzed. Sebastian, thank you for coming tonight. For listening. Thank you for being honest. Even when uncomfortable. Especially when uncomfortable. That's when honesty matters most. 3 days passed. Lauren functioned normally. But part of her mind stayed in that manor house. Wednesday evening, she made a decision. Are you free Saturday afternoon? Response? For you? Always. I want to see where you actually spend your time. Not the office, not the manor house. Where you go when you're just existing. Interesting request. You asked for honesty. I need to see more of who you actually are before I can decide if there's really a space between our worlds. Saturday at 2, I'll send a car. I'll be ready. Lauren set down her phone, understanding she'd just committed to something that couldn't be taken back. Saturday arrived. Elena picked her up. But instead of the manor house or office, they went to a working-class neighborhood Lauren didn't recognize. They stopped at a community center. Inside, families, elderly residents, kids playing basketball. Sebastian was waiting, dressed casually. Thank you for coming. What is this place? Somewhere I spend time when I need to remember why structures matter. He held the door. Come, I'll show you. Inside, the center was alive. Sebastian moved through with easy familiarity, greeting people by name, stopping to watch kids practice basketball. Boss, a teenager called. You staying for the game? Might watch a few minutes. Sebastian gestured to Lauren. This is Lauren. Lauren, this is Marcus and his team. Training for city championships. The kids were respectful but casual around Sebastian. Not afraid. Comfortable. You come here often? Lauren asked. Once a week minimum. Sebastian stopped at a door marked Education Center. Inside, adults attended classes, GET prep, language learning, job skills. I fund most of this. The classes, the programs, the scholarships. This is where your money goes. Some of it, the legitimate part. He looked at her. You wanted to see where I spend time. This is it. Not glamorous. Just maintaining structures that give people chances. Lauren watched Sebastian interact with people who clearly respected him. An elderly woman stopped him, spoke rapidly in Spanish about her grandson's college acceptance. Sebastian listened, promised to help with tuition, accepted her tearful gratitude with quiet grace. This was the same man who'd locked down a hotel. Who'd admitted he ruled through certainty that bordered on fear. And he was also this. You look confused, Sebastian said outside. I am. How do you reconcile this with everything else? I don't. They coexist. I make money through methods outside legal structures. I use it to create opportunities legal structures don't provide. The two facts don't contradict. That's complicated. Most real things are. Sebastian started walking. The world isn't divided into good people and bad people. It's divided into people who acknowledge complexity and people who pretend it doesn't exist. They walked, and Lauren processed what she'd seen. So, what do you think? Sebastian asked. You're more than I expected. Different. Is that good or bad? I don't know yet. Ask me in a month. Sebastian smiled. Does that mean you're giving this a chance? I'm giving it a month. We'll see. Okay. They stood on a street corner, and Lauren understood she'd just agreed to something that would either expand her world or destroy every certainty she'd built. Possibly both. The month that followed taught Lauren a new vocabulary of actions and implications. Sebastian kept his promise about honesty. When Lauren asked what he did, he told her. Not in detail, but in framework. Money lending with enforced terms. Protection services. Conflict resolution outside courts. I'm what people use when the official system fails, he explained over dinner. Is it ideal? No, but it's necessary. That's like saying you're the kindest dictator. Exactly. I never claimed to be democratic. They fell into a pattern. Saturday afternoons at the community center. Wednesday dinners. Late night calls when Lauren couldn't sleep. He never pressured, never pushed for physical intimacy. Just existed beside her, letting her adjust. 3 weeks in, her colleague Jennifer cornered her. You've been different, almost relaxed. Are you seeing someone? Maybe. It's complicated. That night, Sebastian called. You told someone about us. How did you never mind? Yes. What did you tell her? That it's complicated. Accurate. What else? Nothing. I don't know what to call this. How about, we're two people exploring what it means to find value in each other's existence. Wordy, but yes. On the fourth Saturday, Sebastian took Lauren to his real office. Not the public-facing firm. The actual workspace in an industrial building, secured with technology that probably shouldn't exist outside government. This is where I actually work, he said. No pretense. Just efficiency. His office was minimalist, functional. Screens showing information Lauren probably didn't want to understand. But also books and a well-used coffee maker. You wanted honesty? This is honest. Where I manage the business that funds the community center and occasionally requires hotel lockdowns. Both things simultaneously. Lauren examined the few personal touches. A photo of the manor house. Another of an elderly woman. My grandmother, Sebastian said. She's why I fund education programs. She used to say knowledge was the only thing no one could take from you. She sounds wise. She was also deeply disappointed in how my father made his living. Probably would be disappointed in me too. He touched the frame gently. But she'd understand what I do with the money. That would matter. It was the most vulnerable Lauren had seen him. Thank you for showing me this. You deserve honesty. Even when it complicates things. They stood close in his office, and something shifted. Can I kiss you? Sebastian asked quietly. Yes. He moved slowly. When his lips touched hers, it was gentle. Careful. The kiss deepened gradually. Lauren's hands found his shoulders. His arms circled her waist. When they separated, both were breathing harder. That was, Lauren started. Inevitable. Sebastian finished. And probably complicated. Definitely complicated. Worth it? Ask me tomorrow when my brain's functioning. Sebastian smiled warmly. Fair enough. Come on. I'll take you home. That night, Lauren replayed the kiss. The conversation. How Sebastian had looked talking about his grandmother. She was in deeper than she'd admitted. Her phone lit up. Sebastian, still awake? Yes. Thinking? About how terrified I am by how not terrified I am. Explain. I just kissed a man who operates outside the law. Who controls things through power? Who's probably done things I don't want to know about, and I'm not scared. Why aren't I scared? Response took longer. Because you understand the difference between dangerous and harmful? I'm dangerous. That's factual. But I'm not harmful to you. Your instincts recognize that. My logic has many arguments. Listen to your instincts instead. That's what scares me. My instincts have been wrong. About men like Marcus, yes. But you recognized his danger immediately, you just didn't have options. This is different. You have all the options. You're choosing consciously. Trust that choice. Lauren stared at the phone. He was right. With Marcus, she'd been trapped. With Sebastian, every step was her choice. Okay, I'm trusting this. For now. For now is enough. Sleep well. The final week, Sebastian invited Lauren to the manor house for dinner. I'll cook. You bring wine. The dinner was perfect. They talked about books, the city, small human things. After dinner, by the fire, Sebastian poured cognac. So, it's been a month. It has. Verdict? Lauren looked at this man who'd entered her life through crisis and stayed through honesty. I want to keep trying this, whatever this is. Even knowing what I am? Especially knowing. Because you've never pretended to be anything else. Lauren set down her cognac. You're not good in the traditional sense, but you're honest. And honorable by your own code. And you make me feel seen. Valued. Protected without suffocation. That's more than I hoped for. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I don't have doubts. But I want to see where this goes. Sebastian reached for her hand. Then we see where it goes. Together. One day at a time. They sat by the fire, hands linked, and Lauren understood she'd just committed to something that would change her understanding of herself. Sebastian? Yes? Thank you for waiting, for not pushing, for letting me choose in my own time. You're worth waiting for. That was never in question. In the firelight, Lauren leaned into Sebastian and let herself feel the possibility of love. Not yet, but the space where it could grow. And that possibility was worth every risk. 6 months after the hotel lockdown, Lauren stood in Sebastian's real office reviewing blueprints for the community center expansion. This wing would add 4 classrooms, she said. And if you reconfigure the entrance, you could add accessibility features without sacrificing the facade. You're sure the structure can support it? I'm sure. The foundation is solid. Lauren looked up. This is strange, right? Me helping plan construction funded by criminal enterprise? It's complicated. Strange implies wrong. Complicated just is. They'd had this conversation dozens of times. Lauren would point out cognitive dissonance. Sebastian would acknowledge without apologizing, and they'd move forward. Your grandmother would have liked this expansion. She would have. Sebastian rolled up the blueprints. Thank you for the consultation. No fee? You consult voluntarily because you believe in the project, not because I'm paying you. Right, because I've become that person. Community center projects. The funding source is incidental. Lauren laughed. You and your incidentals. Sebastian pulled her close. 6 months had made physical affection natural between them. I love you, he said quietly. It wasn't the first time. They'd crossed that threshold 2 months ago. But it still made her chest tight. I love you too. Even when you're frustrating. Especially when I'm frustrating. They stood holding each other. Lauren reflected on how normal this had become. How her life now included community centers funded by illegal means and late-night discussions about business disputes. How she'd learned to exist in the space between worlds. Her phone buzzed. Jennifer? Drinks Friday? Want details about this mysterious man? Lauren showed Sebastian. What do I tell her? The truth, within parameters. You're seeing someone. It's serious. He values privacy. What if she asks what you do? Tell her I manage private investments. Technically accurate. That Friday, Lauren met Jennifer. Her friend ordered martinis and launched into interrogation. Okay, 6 months of vague references. Who is this man? His name is Sebastian. Private investments. We met through work circumstances. And it's serious. More serious than I expected. Jennifer studied her. You look different. Happier. More relaxed. But also more complicated. That's accurate. Sebastian sees the world differently. Being with him means questioning assumptions I didn't know I had. Is that good? I think so. It's challenging. Sometimes uncomfortable. But good. Does he treat you well? He treats me honestly. Which is better than well. Well can be manipulation. Honest is honest. Jennifer raised her glass. To honest men. They're rarer than they should be. Lauren clinked glasses, thinking about Sebastian in his office. At the community center, admitting to feelings he'd spent a lifetime learning not to have. The next morning, Lauren woke in Sebastian's penthouse. Weekend mornings here had become routine. Sebastian was by the windows with coffee. Lauren joined him, accepting the second cup. I've been thinking, he said. Dangerous words. I want you to move in. Here or the manor house. Your choice. But I want you to stop splitting time. Lauren's heart did something complicated. Sebastian, I know what you're going to say. Too fast. You need independence. Living with me means accepting my life. He turned to face her. You'd be right, but I'm asking anyway. Because I want to wake up with you every morning. Build something more than weekends. What about my work? My life outside you? It's days separate. I don't want to consume you. I want to coexist. But in the same space, in a home we share. She should say no. Should maintain independence. But standing there, Lauren realized she didn't want that safety net. She wanted this full commitment, shared space, the choice to build something permanent. The manor house, she said. I want to live where you're most yourself. Sebastian's smile was warm. The manor house it is? Next weekend? Just like that? You've already decided. Logistics are just details. He was right. My parents would be horrified if they knew who I was with. But they're not living your life. You are. And I'm choosing this. You're choosing this. 3 months later, Lauren stood in the manor house kitchen, her kitchen now preparing dinner. Sebastian worked in his study. Her furniture had blended with his. Her books filled shelves. Her presence made the house feel alive. She still practiced law, still reviewed contracts. But she also consulted on Sebastian's projects. Attended events where his business supported communities. Existed in both worlds simultaneously. Sebastian appeared in the doorway. Smells good. Your grandmother's recipe. Elena finally gave it to me. Something softened in his expression. She wouldn't share that with anyone. She said I was family now. Family gets the recipes. Sebastian pulled Lauren into an embrace. You are family. The only family that matters. After dinner, they sat on the porch watching sunset. Lauren's head on Sebastian's shoulder, his arm around her waist. Comfortable silence. Do you ever regret it? Sebastian asked quietly. Regret what? Choosing this, choosing me. Building a life most people would say compromises everything. Lauren considered seriously. No, I questioned it, struggled with it, but I don't regret it. Why not? Because you taught me integrity isn't about following rules. It's about being honest about who you are and what you value. I value you. I value what we've built. That's integrity by the only measure that matters. Sebastian kissed her head. I love you. More than I thought I was capable of. I know. I love you too. More than is probably wise. Wisdom is overrated, says the man who built an empire on strategic thinking. Lauren laughed, the sound carrying into evening air. And in that moment, she understood this was what she'd been looking for without knowing it. Not safety in the traditional sense, not conventional happiness, but something more real. A partnership built on honesty, love that acknowledged complexity. A life in spaces between worlds where both could be fully themselves. The hotel room had been the beginning. The locked door that became an opening. The moment danger and safety collapsed into each other and created something new. Lauren had been trapped that night, and in being trapped, she'd been freed. Freed to see the world differently, to value complexity over certainty, to love someone who taught her that dangerous people could offer the safest harbor. She wouldn't change any of it. This was her life, built in spaces between worlds, constructed from honesty and complexity and choices that couldn't be explained to anyone who hadn't lived them, and it was enough. It was everything. Sometimes the lockdown sets you free. Sometimes the most dangerous man becomes home. And sometimes the space between worlds is exactly where you were meant to build your life.